And good afternoon, Australia. Good evening, America. We have had some challenges today. So, you're listening to your radio host, Toni Lontis, live on Radio Toni Every Day Business. And today I'll be introducing you to the gorgeous Pragya Sharma from ADStartr. But before I do, just to let you know that I am broadcasting live from Tallabudgera Valley on the Gold Coast, and we have just been issued with evacuation orders because it's flooding and it's bucketing down rain. So that just adds to the excitement of the program. I figure I've got about an hour to an hour and a half before that heavy rain reaches our section of the creek. So why not go and do a live radio show? I know Pragya's been nervous about coming on this live show, so there's no way I was going to cancel the show for her. So just a reminder to all those listening live on LinkedIn and Radio Toni, we are on live streaming into both those platforms and also onto YouTube. If you want to know any further information about our amazing guest today, please pop on over to radiotoni.com, look under the co-host section, and you will find links directly to Pragya and the team at ADStartr. Now, this is Radio Toni Everyday Business's last show for 2020. We will be back in 2021, but I'm having a little bit of a break over Christmas. And so I thought today I've got a really wonderful interviewee with a wonderful story. Our special guest today is Pragya, and she and her husband Paul have created an amazing platform, which we'll talk about later in the show. But first, I want to talk about Pragya because her story is fascinating. She and her family emigrated to Australia from Nepal when Pragya was 10 years old, and life has been pretty much an adventure ever since. Good afternoon, Pragya.
Good afternoon, Toni. Thank you for having me on the show. Hope you're not too flooded down there.
Well, as I'm speaking to you, my husband is shifting the cars and the tractor off-site, so we shift them up off the property and up to higher ground. And the next step in that flood process is to shift the goats up onto the back veranda, strange as that may sound, and shift the llamas up to a high paddock. So we're all good. It's just you got to wait and watch and follow the
Yeah, I
signals
hope it all goes well for you.
and hope it all goes well. And I'm much better off doing a live show and not being anxious than running around watching the floodwater rise. So,
Yeah, that's true.
and besides, I wanted to talk to you today. So, it's your first time on live radio, and I know that you were a little nervous yesterday. How are you feeling today?
I'm extremely nervous. It's my first time on the radio, but that's okay. I'm sure I'll be fine.
You will.
A little bit of challenge is always good.
It's good for the soul, isn't it? It's not good for the heart rate, but it's good for the soul.
Exactly, that's right.
When I was talking to you yesterday, we started talking about your Nepalese heritage, and you've got some really fabulous family connections. And I wanted to start the show talking about your grandfather.
Sure. Well, my grandfather on my mum's side was a
Yeah.
prime minister of Nepal back in the 1950s. He was involved in removing the Rana dynasty, or a dictatorship that had ruled Nepal for over 100 years. He
Wow.
Yeah, he grew up within the comforts and luxury of the era, but he was well aware of poverty and injustice. So he led a political party for the removal of the Rana dynasty. It took a long time, but he got there in the
Yes.
end. So yeah.
What an amazing family history to have, because that's really a beautiful history to draw strength from, isn't it?
Well, yeah, that's right. From somebody who was actually sentenced to death in 1940 for his opposition um, to a dictatorship,
Yes.
and then to come through that
And rise
as
above
a
it.
prime minister of the country. Yeah, it's a pretty special, proud moment for us all.
Yes, fantastic.
Yeah.
And we talked yesterday. So you've made Australia your home, but it wasn't always that way. There's an interesting story around how you and your family emigrated to Australia. So I'm hoping you can tell us about that today.
Yeah, sure. We came here because of a dare, actually. When when somebody said to my dad, you won't be leaving the country," he wanted to prove them wrong, and that's how we got here. Otherwise, we came from a comparatively pretty good household, well-to-do
Yeah.
household. As I said, our family was fairly well connected. My dad had held a position of the director's role, and my
Yes.
mum also had a strong position. So we lived a fairly comfortable life there.
Yes.
But that obviously changed when we got to Australia because my parents had to start from scratch.
Yeah, that must have been so tough for them.
Oh, yeah, that's right. I mean, coming to another country, that comes with a new lifestyle.
Yeah.
Unemployment was high at the time, so it was hard to find jobs. There weren't many Nepalese people living in Australia, so I can imagine how overwhelming and daunting it would have been for them.
It's a pretty
That's
brave
right.
move, isn't it? But
Yeah,
you
that's right.
kids, the kids in the family, you loved it though, didn't you?
Oh yeah, we absolutely loved it. It was something different. I was 10 at the time. Yeah, I'd lived in Nepal for most of my life, except for when I was little, I was in the UK.
Yes.
So it was similar lifestyle to the UK. I didn't have to. Schooling is quite tough in Nepal.
Yes.
I remember doing something in grade 2, which I later learned in year 7, because I went to a private school there and the
Yeah.
education system was a little bit different.
Yeah.
So I enjoyed not having to do as much.
Yeah.
um,
Yeah.
yeah. So, and obviously, you can't beat the lifestyle here. Um, I'd already
Yeah.
made friends
We're
here. So,
we're
yeah.
pretty lucky in Australia, aren't we? I remember you telling me a funny little thing that you kids used to do to determine whether you thought you were going back to Nepal, like early in the piece. What was that you used to look at to determine whether you Nepal sooner rather than
Yeah.
later?
Sure, I'll give you a little bit of background into that actually. Because we came here in the
Yes.
1990s, there was a massive recession back then. As you
Yes,
know,
there was.
unemployment was high and life was pretty tough for most. My dad, like I
Yeah.
said earlier, my dad found it hard to find a job at the time because he didn't have local knowledge. So it was a challenge for us at
Yeah.
first. So my parents had booked flights back to Nepal. All the
Yeah.
furniture was sold, and basically, we just had a few weeks left. So,
Yes.
my brother and I used to check the bag of rice to determine how close we were returning back to Nepal.
And
If
by
the
that
rice hadn't been
stage,
gone, how could we be going back? But luckily, my dad had a dream of doing a PhD.
yes,
And in the last couple of weeks, he received a full scholarship.
pretty
So
exciting
he
to
wanted
get
to
that.
follow his dreams, and he took up the offer. That was 30 years ago, and now we call Australia home.
Which is fantastic for Australia. One of the statistics you and I were talking about yesterday in regards to Australia's population, and that was around the concept that there's 49% of our population are not Australian born,
Well,
which
that's
is
right. I mean, if you have a look at the statistics, overseas born or had parents overseas comprised only 25% in
yes,
2011. Now, by 2016, which was at the last census,
yes,
49% of all Australians were either born overseas or had parents that were born overseas.
yeah.
Yeah.
Which makes Australia a very diverse culturally a very diverse cultural place. So I'm actually as a white Australian, even though I'm only about a fourth generation Australian, and my heritage goes back to Scotland and Ireland and the UK.
Mhm.
I love the fact that we openly welcome such culturally diverse peoples to Australia, because it makes us a very rich nation with a wonderful diversity of thoughts and religions and all the rest of it. And I'm really glad that you guys came and made Australia home.
Oh,
I know we talked yesterday that Nepal is on my travel list
yeah,
for, and whenever we're able to travel again. But
yeah,
so your dad went on and did his PhD
yeah.
and has been quite successful, hasn't he?
Well, yeah, that's right. He did a PhD in strategy, and
Yeah.
he's been lecturing at a university um, for a very long time. He was
Yeah.
actually my university lecturer when I was
Oh,
doing my degree. Well, my mum was also a student there at the time. She
oh,
has multiple degrees.
oh, wow. So you come
Yeah.
from a very intellectual family. So I
I,
know that you went to uni. What did you study?
I did a degree in information systems
Yes,
and a minor in marketing. Yeah.
fantastic. And so you went on to get a job in marketing for one of our big banks. And
That's
it
right.
was,
I first
yes, go
landed
on.
a job in the customer insights and market research team of one of the major banks here in
Yes.
Australia. Um, and then I moved on from there. I was going to go traveling after that,
Yeah, I know.
but instead I moved to Queensland. So I needed a bit of change, and this is what got me here. And since
Yes.
then, I've been in the property industry.
Yeah.
In research again, doing research
Yes.
for commercial property.
Fantastic. So I want you to tell me the story about meeting your husband, Paul.
Well, after I'd completed my degree, I went back to Sydney.
Yes.
And when I was there, I met people through a mutual friend. Um, yeah, so that's how I met him.
Yeah.
And I was returning back to Queensland after that because I needed change.
Yes.
And he followed me up, and rest is history. We've been together for 18 or 19 years, and we have a
Oh,
beautiful
that's
daughter who's almost six
gorgeous.
years.
Fantastic. And so the company that you and Paul have now is called AdStartr. So can you tell our listeners what AdStartr is?
Yeah, well, the diverse and inclusive space is highly fragmented. So we
Yes.
wanted to create a one-stop shop to make it easy for everybody. So we created an online self-service marketplace that connects advertisers and ad space owners. Essentially, it's an ad booking platform which enables
Yes.
publishers to sell advertising space. It allows advertisers to place ads in diverse newspapers, magazines, outdoor media, and digital platforms. Advertisers can design custom ads, find the
Yes.
perfect location at the best cost, and it's all done through a single interface. The idea is that research has already been carried out in one place
Yes.
in regards to prices, audience analysis, distribution,
Yes.
publication dates, and ad formats. So advertisers just have to click design and place an order.
And it's a very simple platform, isn't it,
It
Pragya?
really is. It
Mm.
really is. It's really easy to use.
It is.
So if you're a media publisher, it would be as simple as and had space to offer. It would be as
Yes.
simple as signing into our portal. We would do due diligence after that, and if approved, we would give them access to the platform with username and password, which then they would use to sign in. Um, and yeah, and from a demand side of things, it's a similar process. They would first sign up, create their profile search, compare, and then book ads. So it's very, very simple to use.
And I have to say that I am on ADStartr and have set up my advertising space in terms of Radio Toni shows, and it is completely simple, very easy to use, and it actually gives you the opportunity to completely target whoever you want to target, doesn't it, Pragya?
Yeah, that's right. That's the idea of the marketplace, is that you can drill down to your niche. So when a publisher uploads their product, they would have who their demographic profile is, so in terms of age, gender, etc., etc. And the advertisers can then go and search for what they need and place an ad accordingly. That's right.
And so ADStartr has platforms or spaces, I guess you'd call them, all over the world in all ranges of media, don't they?
Well, we do have, at the moment, we're starting with Australia, but we're also going overseas. Yes, it allows, at the moment, it allows to put the ads in 6 different languages. So it translates into 6 different languages. But at the end of the day, yeah, you're right. It has the capacity or capability of going global. That's right.
Yeah, and that's what excites me, because I'm actually involved with ADStartr at that level. Pragya, can you tell us about some of the key benefits of the platform ADStartr?
Sure. Well, firstly, it's a self-service platform, so therefore it's accessible at all times. Ad campaigns are planned and executed in minutes, so you don't have to wait weeks. There's multilingual and translation services, making ad space accessible to a wider audience. And like we touched on earlier, it's the ability to access demographics that you wouldn't otherwise be able to.
Yeah, it's pretty innovative, isn't it?
Yeah, that's right. It's a two-sided, as my husband tells me, it's a two-sided marketplace.
It is.
And built on scalable technology. So it comes with integrated dashboards, a sophisticated ad editor and ad booking system, etc. Yeah, that's right.
It's very exciting to watch the development of something from the initial stages. And I also wondered, what was the thought behind starting ADStartr?
Well, yeah. I mean, we live in a day and age where diversity is the buzzword.
Yes.
You know, where there are people from various backgrounds, ideologies, political preferences, sexual orientation, or any other customs or practices. And so it is important that no one's overshadowed by ignorance or prejudice. And as we were talking earlier, you know, 49% of Australians were either born here or had parents born overseas or had parents born overseas. So that's a huge number. So capitalizing on this trend, there have been a number of media outlets representing many of these groups.
But not one that has them all together.
That's right. Whether it's in journals or magazines or radio and the like. But for various reasons, whether it be racism or discrimination or whatever the cause may be, they can, these media formats can often feel marginalized. So what we're looking to do is to address some of that divide by enabling diverse and multicultural publishers to communicate with mainstream advertisers by providing a level playing field
Yes.
We're looking to help marketers reach new audience by offering like a
Absolutely.
self-service marketplace that I suppose removes the logistical and language barriers that usually prevent campaigns from
Yes.
penetrating to this audience. So essentially, we're using technology to open up communication, to make
For everyone.
well, that's right, to make the interface between minorities and mainstream advertisers
Yeah.
somewhat smoother or
So,
transparent.
yeah. So if you're a business and you've got a pretty niched target market, this platform actually allows you to directly market or connect with that niched target market. And again, as you know, I'm really passionate about non-traditional media, and I absolutely believe that the
Yeah.
future of humanity will be in embracing non-traditional methods of promotion, marketing, and advertising. And this platform just makes it a bit easier. Well, can I say a lot easier for you to source those markets and either advertise or market to them, or conversely, find that those components of the market that you want to reach. So it goes both ways.
Well, that's right, Tony. You know, at the moment, and say if you were to target a particular ethnicity, it's a fairly challenging job. At least here in
Yes,
Australia, it is. Um, or if you wanted to target the LGBTQ group, or whether it's the
yes,
disability sector or
yeah,
advocates of equality, whoever
uh-huh,
it may be. So yeah, we're offering that service to a range of diverse and multicultural groups. So
yeah,
hoping to make it easier for everybody.
yeah. I had a question around the technology behind the platform. Can you explain a little bit of that to us, Pragya?
Yeah, well, it's built around scalable technology, as my husband tells me. He's the
Yeah,
IT expert.
he is.
And with a cloud infrastructure.
Yes.
Um,
And
yeah, so
simplicity
it's
of
scalable.
use.
Sorry.
And simplicity of use. Like it's a beautifully easy platform to navigate.
Yeah, that's right. It's very simple. You just go in, it's all there on the website. It's very easy. It's on the main page, the self-service page. You go there,
Yeah,
you search for what you want, and then off
yeah,
you go with that. That's
yeah,
right.
yeah. And I can vouch for that because, as I've said before, I've already done that and tested it out, tried it out to see how easy it was, and it was incredibly easy. Um, Pragya, I want to know about your vision for AdStartr.
Yeah. Well, we've seen an increase in diversity in media
Which is
through
good.
relevant. Yeah, in Australia through relevance, I suppose, as marketers
Mm,
try and reach beyond the mainstream audience by
yeah,
communicating with audience as individuals, I
yeah,
suppose. Though many are still sort of failing to capitalize on the benefits of genuinely connecting with the
yes,
audience.
yeah,
I mean, we're looking at this is a huge population base,
yes,
and it should be of considerable interest to marketing professionals.
it should.
Um, yeah, due to the present and future purchasing power. However, you know, many times they're overlooked in advertising in media.
They are.
Just to give you, I'll give you an example. I
Yes,
was
please.
looking through the federal government's expenditure on ethnic media, and I was surprised to find that their investment in ethnic media was just 6.5% of overall advertising expenditure. And this is a party that strongly encourages the use of ethnic
Yes.
media outlets in their advertising. So
So,
so you can
so
imagine it would be even less elsewhere,
yeah,
which is, yeah, that's right. So quite clearly it's below its proportional population share.
exactly,
And there's a huge
exactly.
market there.
Yeah.
if we
So
can get it right.
effectively, their budget is ignoring almost 40% of the population.
Well, that's right. And that's
Wow.
when you're looking at the population, 49% is just your migrant population.
Yes.
But then
Yes.
on top of that would be your, LGBTQ group, there's so many other disability sector, and there's
Indigenous
so many
people.
other sectors beyond just that. So it's a large part of the market. That's right.
Yeah, yeah. Do you think that going into the future, we will see some more focus from traditional media on this really big marketplace?
Well, we would like to hope so. I mean, the
Yeah,
value and power of these media will continue to rise
I
as long as
agree.
there is migration to this country,
Yeah,
as we aspire for equality amongst all.
yes,
So,
yes.
yeah.
Do you also see the platform as being a space for women as well? Because generally speaking, women are also in that experience the similar sorts of racism and
Well,
the
that's right.
media.
I mean,
Yeah,
that's right. It's for everybody. It's we're in that diverse and inclusive space, which means a range of
yeah,
people in society. Yeah, whether it be multicultural, which is, I suppose, is your larger component.
yes,
But yeah, any others in that group, definitely.
yeah.
Yeah. So
Um,
I suppose they come under the advocates, equal rights
yes, yes,
advocates.
yes.
Yeah.
I still find it incredible that we have this wonderfully beautiful big population in Australia and the government is investing so little in communicating with them, because that at the end of the day, that's what marketing and advertising is. It's trying to communicate with a particular community or group. I do find it challenging that they would not be investing more in talking to that large group of people. Do
Yeah.
you see AdStarter being
Yeah.
a key in that space?
Yeah. Well, I suppose it could be due, for many, it could be um, uh, due to, uh, sorry, I've gone blank. What was the question again?
That's okay. Do you think that going forward and in the future, that the government and all the rest of us who are in that communication space will start to invest more heavily in the diversity that we see?
Yeah, it's probably due to language barriers and the like at the moment, and the accessibility
Yeah,
of these media. It's quite hard to find who they are, firstly,
yeah,
and then to get information from them, because
yes,
it's so scattered, it's so highly fragmented. So
yes,
having all of that in the one place and ready for people to see and compare, and so we're hoping, when advertisers see all of that,
yes.
that it'll become easier, and therefore it will become part of
What we
an
do.
alternative to mainstream
Mm-hmm.
media. That's right.
Absolutely. Because I'm thinking of it from an advertiser or marketer's perspective, that you can go into AdStarter, and I'm English speaking and talking right in English, but I could effectively place an ad for the Chinese speaking community or the Nepalese speaking community just by using AdStarter. That's my correct understanding, Pragya?
Yeah, that's right. At the moment, if we were to target the Chinese market in Australia,
Yes.
um, it is actually quite hard.
Yes.
You have to find out who they are nationally first, and
Yes.
then get media rates from them, compare them. But we have a system which already does that, and you can
Yes.
compare it side by side,
Yes.
which makes it easier for people to just go and click. It's just a matter of click and go. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, which makes it incredibly simple if you wanted to diversify your market and start to tap into some of the diverse communities across Australia. And it makes it simple for you to connect with them without too much effort. And so you might be able to find a completely new market just by
What
using the platform.
Well, that's right. Well, our goal is to increase the exposure of publishers
Yeah.
in such a way that advertisers feel confident they can locate these newspapers or magazines
Yes.
that are typically hard to reach. So by providing a platform, we expect that the expectations are changed
Yes.
or any misinformation minimized. So marketers are more confident about other forms of media
Yes.
um,
Yes.
than they might otherwise consider.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it works well with non-traditional media outlets. So, for example, Radio Tony. I'm in non-traditional media. I'm not on one of the major channels. So, for any of us who are working in media marketing and promotion in something that's non-traditional, this platform helps you gain access to other markets. It's brilliant, really.
Yeah, that's right. Um, yeah, we would love to see people like yourselves using our platform.
I
And
know.
yeah, we'd also like, to be able to give a voice to people uh, that may not otherwise have one. So yeah.
Something that people might not have thought of either is that it opens up to the market to access to, say, some podcasts. So perhaps your podcast is about, let's use your background. So perhaps your podcast is about Nepalese immigrants. And so you want to be marketing your podcast, not to, you want to obviously market it to anyone in the world, but you particularly want to target it to Nepalese immigrants. And so using AdStarter, you can either advertise that you have space on your podcast, or conversely, if you want to advertise specifically to the Nepalese people, then there's a podcast where you can place your advert and know that it will be viewed by your target market. And that's what you're trying to create with AdStarter.
Yeah, that's right. So any advertising space that people may have, whether it's small, whether it's in their cars, whether it's at home,
Yeah,
whether it's magazine space, whether it's newspapers, radio, TV, whatever it may be, we have a
billboards.
space for that. That's
Mm.
right.
And all it takes on the platform is just going in and simply setting it up. So if you've got, I don't know, let's use a billboard for instance. You've got a billboard on your property that's on highway X going to blah blah city, and you want some advertising. Well, if you pop it on AdStarter, then chances are someone will be looking for billboard advertising where you are, and it increases your likelihood of filling that space and
Right.
getting
That's
paid
right.
advertising. And AdStarter just facilitates that process
That's
with a
right.
particular focus on linguistically diverse peoples and cultures.
Yeah, and that's right. Whilst we are targeting Australia for now,
Yes.
we are expanding globally. So, how amazing would it be with a robust,
Yes.
catalog of information such as that?
Yeah, yeah. And if you think about it and you want to target a certain geographical area, let's go with Scotland, then you can jump on ADStartr and find the spots or advertising that's available, and off you go. Like, it's made simple rather than the traditional way of searching for different media outlets, the type of media, what's available, what's not available, and the costs. It's all there on one platform. So if you're searching for advertising, you will just go in, find your niched area, and then it will flip up all the different amounts of and types of advertising and the costs associated. So it makes it quite easy to work out where you want to place your advertisement or whatever it is, your promotion, and get it directly to that particular market.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, we love our product, and so we're obviously always out there in the market trying to promote it.
I was going to say,
And
which
we
is
would
kind of,
love for people to be using it.
yes, we want to, so together with Pragya, we want to encourage people to look at this platform. And so if you're interested and you want to jump on and have a look at the platform itself, it's simply ADStartr, ADStartr, that's ADStartr.com. That's it. And jump on and jump in and have a look. And Pragya, on the website, there's ability to connect with if you've got questions.
Yes, that's right. You should get a pop-up where you can ask questions.
Yes,
Yeah, or you can always send us an
an
email.
email
Yeah, that's right.
if you've got questions. And also, if people wanted to ask you in person, there's also the ability to connect with you, and you'll run them through how it works and what it does and what it's,
Absolutely.
yeah.
Absolutely. Our phone number is right up on top. So anytime anyone has any questions, please ring that number. Um,
Absolutely.
and one of
Because
us is always available to answer your
I
call.
was just going to say, you're always available to answer calls around the technology and how the platform works and how to set it up. Although, again, I have to say, it's really quite simple. If I, as a middle-aged technophobe, can do it, then many other people will be able to do it just as simply as I can. It's
That's
that
right.
simple.
That's right. There might be a time lag between when you sign up and when we
Yes,
approve. We need to do a little bit of due
due
diligence.
diligence.
That's right. So that would probably be your only time. But we will get back to you with an email
Yes.
and let you know that it has been approved.
Yep.
And
That's
then we
part
can.
of the other you wanted to create a platform that was safe for these particular groups as well, and that's why you have due diligence around checking the advertiser is a legitimate advertiser before you allow them to pop up their spaces on the platform. Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. Um, yes, so the robots aren't going in there doing whatever it is. Yeah, so we want it to be legitimate, like you say.
Yeah, yeah. So you
Um,
want people to know that if they book advertising with a certain group or company that has advertising space, that they actually get that advertising space as stated and as charged. So behind the platform, you guys are working to make sure that it's legitimate and safe and easy to use. And that's part of what you do all the time, isn't it?
Absolutely, that's right. And it's inbuilt throughout the system.
Yes, those
Yeah,
safety checks.
that's right. There's safety checks all along the way. That's
Yeah,
right.
yeah, yeah. So, Pragya, before we completely run out of time, I just want to touch back to your parents. They're still in Australia and still teaching, aren't they?
Yes, that's right. My dad had a little bit of health problem, a few months ago, but he's now back
Yeah.
on track. So
Yes.
he'll be going back to university again.
In the new year.
Yeah, but my mum has retired,
Oh,
and
good.
she's living on the Sunshine Coast, enjoying the gardening life.
Yeah.
Yeah, she loves her garden. Probably spends 3 to 4 hours every day in the garden.
Ah,
Uh,
there's
yeah,
something about
so
gardening
it's
that's
always
pretty special.
immaculate, and yeah, she has vegetable garden with
Yeah.
lots of veggies growing.
Yeah. Does she share them with you guys?
Yes, when we're here,
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
we live in Brisbane,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
but
That's
she's
right.
on the Sunshine Coast, which
Mm.
is where I am at the moment. But when we're here, we get to eat homegrown meals.
Yeah. Yeah. And has your brother remained in Australia as well?
Yeah, that's right. He's living here on the Sunshine Coast as well.
Yeah. Yeah.
He's an accountant by profession, and
Yeah.
he has his own tax accounting business also.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
Yeah. So
How
we're an hour away in Brisbane, but
Oh,
yeah.
yeah. Yeah. How often do your parents get back to Nepal?
Um, Probably every 2 to 3 years.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
it really depends. There is no such pattern, but they sometimes it's a year, sometimes it's a few times a year, and other times it can
Yes.
go up to 3, 4 years.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
yeah, but they're always going back, and there's the telephone conversation with
Yeah.
their family back home. And
I was
we
just
have
going
a
to say,
huge family as actually, because my dad has 7 brothers and sisters, and mum's also similar as well. So we
are
have a
they
very
all
big family.
still in Nepal or have some of them
Most of them
immigrated?
are in Nepal.
Yeah.
We have a few cousins. I have a few cousins living here. It's
Yeah.
the younger generation that usually
A bit
travel
more
abroad
mobile.
for higher education.
Yes.
So yeah.
And what about you? Do you get back to Nepal often or like I know Australia is essentially your home, but do you go back as well?
Yeah, I'm not as frequent as my parents.
Yes.
The longest I have not been back was 8 years. um,
Yeah.
yeah, but now, yeah, I try and go back whenever I can. My
Yes.
husband, he's still got family there. His mum and dad
Yes.
still living in Nepal, so we have to go back and visit them.
Yes.
And it's always nice to take my daughter with me
I was just
back
going
to
to
Nepal
say,
as well, so she can see her line of
yeah.
ancestry, I suppose.
Does she, as a 6-year-old, does she enjoy that being over there and experiencing that another culture?
She loves it
Uh-huh.
because it's chaotic, and that's what
Yes.
kids love.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Uh,
yeah.
she managed to, while we were there, she was there. We took her there when she was 3 years old. And
Oh,
she managed to get us taxis. She'd hail the driver. She even got us a cake and an ice cream once by
oh my
talking to a
goodness.
person at a hotel.
So is
Yeah.
she bilingual?
She used to be. Up until
Okay.
last year, she used to speak Nepalese at home. Um,
Yes.
but ever since going to school,
School.
and I needed her to speak English, so I started
Yes.
speaking English at home with her,
Yes.
and
Yes.
now she hardly speaks the language.
Oh,
Yeah.
I guess that's it's not going to leave her, is it? Like she's still going to, if you talk Nepalese from time to time, she's still going to retain the basics of that language, isn't she?
Yeah, that's right. She understands
Yeah.
completely, because
Yes.
my parents speak to her in Nepalese, and I speak to her in Nepalese from time to time.
Good.
People speaks to her in Nepalese as well, so
Yep.
she understands.
Yep.
She just doesn't respond back in Nepalese.
I don't know. Maybe
And
that's a
she told my
6-year-old thing.
sister-in-law yesterday that she could speak the language, and that was one word.
Oh, goodness me. So it must be lovely for your parents to be for her to spend time with them.
Yeah, they absolutely love spending time with her because we live an hour and a half away.
Yes.
So
Yes.
we only get a
But the
chance to come up
traffic is
on
pretty,
weekends.
yeah,
Yeah, and the traffic can be quite bad. But
it
we try
is.
and get up here every few weeks. And now during school holidays, we'll be staying here until Christmas. So that's over a
Oh,
week.
good. So you're going to spend Christmas with your parents?
That's right.
Oh, yay. That'll be
Yeah.
lovely. That'll be lovely. Speaking of Christmas, are there some, and I digress a bit, I'm going to come back to AdStartr in a minute, but are there particular Nepalese traditions around Christmas, or is Christmas not recognized in the Nepalese culture?
Well, a large majority of Nepalese are Hindu.
Yes,
So Christmas is not part of Hindu religion.
correct.
But in Hinduism, we're taught to respect all beings, all
Yes,
religions.
yes.
So um, I celebrate anything
Yeah,
um, there is.
yeah, yeah,
If
yeah.
there's fun, then I'm onto it.
And I was
And
just
so,
going to say, how can you not celebrate Christmas with little ones? Like,
well, that's right.
the
It's a fantastic time of the year. It's always
yeah,
nice when you go out in the shops to see the
the
lights, the
Christmas.
Santa Claus. And my daughter believes in Santa Claus still, though,
Awesome.
though last year she did say that looks like the wrapping that you had at home. And she said that looks
Uh-huh.
like your writing. So she's really clever.
She's
She's, I think, slowly catching on to the idea that
I was
it
going to
might.
say, with mum and dad so clever, there's a fair chance that she's going to have that figured out pretty shortly,
I think
unfortunately.
so. Very soon. I was. I thought she would have by this year, but no, there is. She
Oh,
still
that's lovely.
enjoys
That's
Santa
lovely.
Claus.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
it's very special when they're little and they get so excited about Christmas, and then there's the whole, opening presents and Santa coming and all the rest of it. My kids had a little tradition of leaving carrot out for the reindeers, Santa's reindeers,
Oh,
and they continued doing that up until, gosh, they were almost teenagers when they well and truly knew the secrets of Santa, but they still used to
why
do it.
not?
And so they'd leave the carrots out, and of course I'd have to wait until they go to sleep, and of course teenagers can stay up really late if you and I'd be trying to get them off to bed so that I could go along and crunch up the carrot and spread it through the hallway of the house so that they could wake up and go, oh, mom, Santa's been, and they, even though they knew that it wasn't real, they
Oh,
still
absolutely. There's
played.
fun.
Yeah, I didn't want them to
Oh, yeah,
lose
I
their
still do too.
imagination.
Otherwise, you miss out on Christmas
Yes.
gifts.
Yes. That's exactly right. Exactly right. Oh, Pragya, what a wonderful conversation to have in the lead up to Christmas. And I just want to come back right back to where we started. And Pragya and the team at AdStartr, we wanted to do this show before Christmas because in the new year, in 2021, Pragya and I will be getting together to do further shows around the system and around the platform and how it works. And we want to get into bits of the technical and setup of it, but we wanted to do an introductory show so that you could get to know Pragya and the vision behind the platform, which I am very much on board with and want to help with going into the future. Um, we will be back in 2021 periodically to talk again about AdStartr. But in the meantime, I just want you to know that you can jump on to adstartr.com, have a look around the platform, see what it offers, and know that it is one of those platforms for the future and for the future of advertising, marketing, and promotion from either side of the perspective. Pragya, thank you so much for coming on the show today. I know you were nervous. You've done an amazing job with amazing explanations of the platform. I look forward to more interviews in 2021 with you around ADStartr platform. And with that, my wonderful listeners, thank you, Pragya. Have a wonderful
Thank you.
Christmas and
Thanks,
a
Toni.
wonderful time with that precious little one and your family. And for our listeners, Merry Christmas. And we will be back in 2021 with more Radio Toni Everyday Business. I'm off to check flood levels and see we haven't been washed away. And I'll join you again in 2021. Thank you, Pragya. Very Merry Christmas, everyone. Over to you, TJ.
Thanks, Toni.
My
Thank you for having
pleasure.
me on the show, Toni.
It's my pleasure.